I was gonna start out this video with you guys guessing where I'm at, but then I realized that you probably already know because of the thumbnail. I've made it to Austin, Texas, and we're gonna be playing at the Lodge. Well, it is always an issue, isn't it? I come over here to the rental car place. I have a reservation that I paid for already to get a compact car for my 4 days here in Austin, Texas. I get up to the counter, I give them my card, and they go, please insert the card to pay for the incidentals and the security deposit and all that stuff. And I tell them, well, my card doesn't insert. The chip hasn't been working for the last week or so. I can swipe the card, I can tap the card, I can give you the card numbers and you can plug them in. And they go, nope, we can only take payments by inserting the card. And I'm like, well, I already paid for the car, so, you could just write down, you could just add it on to the card that's already in the system. No, that doesn't work. So I spent about 45 minutes here, not gonna get a rental car. I guess I'm Ubering over to the Lodge. What a ridiculous thing. I guess I gotta get a new debit card. I mean, I'm already on tilt. Trip starting great. I arrived to the Lodge Card Club 8 o'clock on a Wednesday. They have a 1-3 game running with a $1,000 max buy-in, so that is what I play. First hand I get into, I raise Queen Jack offsuit to $15. There's a re-raise to $40 by an early position player, a cold call for $40, and I call as well. 3 ways to Ace 10-4 to spades. Checks to the initial raiser who bets out $30. I call with my gut shot straight draw and get there on the turn with the King of Hearts, giving me the nut straight. My opponent did re-raise me pre-flop, so he should have all the ace kings, pocket aces, pocket kings. I check to him again, and he does continue to fire for $60. He's got around $450 left. Now is a time to spring the trap and bump up this pot. I check raise here to $150, and he makes a very quick call. The river card is not good for us. It's another queen. I mean, it's not terrible, we still have the nuts, but it's a little bit harder to get paid off now. I just put him all in for his last $300. He goes into the tank for a little bit of time and eventually calls. Lucky. For a 1-3 game on a Wednesday night, there is some big pots here. There's 2 action players you can see here on the top right who have been playing basically every single hand. One of them just wins over a $2,000 pot here. Next hand he raises to 40. There's a call. I call in the cutoff with 7-3 suited, which is not really a hand you want to be getting in there with versus a raise, but I want to try to get in there against the action players. They're playing every single hand. I've got about $1,500 in my stack. They've got $2,000. Let's play a pot. We see a flop 4 ways of 3 deuce deuce, flopping top pair. Not bad for the 7-3 of clubs. When the action checks to me, I bet out $100, and I get a call from the early position player, and the rest of the players fold. We're now heads up to the 8 of diamonds on the turn. He checks, I slow down and check. River card 9. To my surprise now, my opponent leads into me for a $185 bet. If we go back to pre-flop, this opponent limp called $40, so he shouldn't have any big overpairs. He check called the flop, now leads out on this river. Feel like he can have a lot of bluffs here, 4-5, ace-5, ace-4, some overcards that he called with on the flop. Don't want to fold my pair. I feel like this is a pretty polarized bet, so I flick in the call, expecting to be good most of the time, but this time I'm not. He shows 5-2 offsuit for trips on the flop. I'm not lying to you guys. These guys are here to gamble. This guy limp called $40 with 5 deuce offsuit, hit trips, and got me to pay him off with third pair. That is just one other reason why you should not play 7-3 of clubs. to a $40 raise. Next up, under the gun straddles to $6. There's a call for $6, 8 of hearts, 9 of hearts for me. I bump it to $25. Middle position player calls, small blind action player calls, and the limper makes the call. 4 ways to 8-6-2. With top pair here, I'm feeling pretty good about my hand. Small blind action player now leads out for $75 before the limper goes all in for $310. I could actually fold my top pair, but this is a wild, crazy Texas 1-3 game. I'm just not going to fold top pair for $300, so I make the call. Action player in the small blind makes the fold. We're all in here, over $700 in the middle, with top pair, decent kicker.
Okie doke.
You got anything? Nice sound. My opponent shows 8-6 offsuit for top pair, top kicker on the flop. Another $350 gone in that hand. Like I said, these guys are gambling. Calling a raise, 8-6 offsuit, flopping top 2 pair. Alright, next hand, the same player who I just doubled up raises to 30. I 3-bet to 100 with pocket jacks. Now the cutoff player goes all in for $425. Man, I'm getting into some tough spots tonight. Back over to the under the gun player who eventually lets his cards go. Pocket jacks, $400. If you got me, you got me. I make the call. I'd rather just go ones. The flop is good, giving me a set. We're ahead of aces and kings now until the turn's a king. Not the best card, brings in a flush as well. In the river, even worse, a 10. And my opponent shows ace king of hearts for a rivered straight. We outflopped him. He got there on the river. And another pot is not going in our direction. Well, that is just the name of the game. Sometimes you win some flips, sometimes you do not. We were up early on around $500 or $600, but after the last couple hands, we're now stuck a couple $100. Leading into this next hand where an action player raises to 20, cutoff player calls 20, king jack offsuit on the button, I re-raise to $80. Considering the fact that these guys are playing 8-6 offsuit and deuce 5 offsuit, I feel like king jack is way ahead of their raising and calling range. So $80 to go it is, and both of my opponents make the call. Flop is ace, ace 3 with 2 hearts. The action checks to me, and I check this one back. Turn card's another 3, so the board is double paired. Now the cutoff player leads out for a bet. With king high here, I feel like I should have the best hand a decent amount of the time, so I make the call. River card is the jack of hearts, brings in the front door flush, now gives me a pair. Cutoff player checks to me, which I don't think he's ever doing with a full house, so I bet out $100 here for thin value against pocket pairs, but he folds very quickly, and we do get a little bit back in this hand.
Sick. Thank you. Appreciate it.
James, ask for a table transfer.
We have been all in a lot this session, and again, with pocket 10s, we will be all in. There's a straddle on for 20. Hijack player calls 20. I raise to 75, which I think I could just go a little bit bigger, probably $100. These guys would most likely call. A very tight player on the button makes the call. Loose action player in the straddle makes the call. And loose action player in the hijack, of course, makes the call. 10s, 4 ways to jack, 7, 3. Not the worst flop, not the best flop. 1 overcard to my pair, but it's not too connected of a board. I would less likely see an ace or a king out there. Now the straddle player with around $300 in his stack, Mr. Deuce 5 offsuit, decides he is all in around $300. Hijack player folds. Action back over on me. If this was a bigger game, maybe I would just fold for a pot-sized bet, but in this game, $300 versus this player, it's hard to make a pair, so I make the call for $300. Button gets out of the way, and we are seeing 2 more cards, turn and river. A pretty nasty run out for 10s. A queen and a king fall down, but they are good to win over a $900 pot. Very swingy session my first day here in Austin, Texas at the lodge. I was up a couple $100, down around $500, and then now after this hand, we are profiting around $350. I have a big day tomorrow playing on the live stream, so I end up calling it a night. This ends up being the last hand for me. I end up racking up my chips, heading to the cage, and cashing out. An action-packed game here at the lodge. Wednesday night, 1-3. I forgot how crazy Texas poker really is. It's just insane. 1-3, straddle to 6, raise to 20, 3-bet to 100, call. There's a ton of action in these games. I was all in a bunch of times. I won some pots. I lost some pots. Ended up winning $328 on the day. So that's going to pay for my flights and my Uber here so far. And tomorrow I'll be playing in this room, which is the live stream. It's going to be a 5, 10, 10, 25, 50, probably a huge game. I'm excited for that. I didn't really finish my stories with the airplane, so I'm not a big flying guy. I don't really like flying. I've said this before in my vlogs, but I have to because I got to travel to different places to make poker vlogs, and I want to get out there and meet some new people and play on new streams and new rooms and stuff, so I gotta fly. I don't really like it, but I do it. I usually always wait to get on the plane the very last, so I wait for everybody to get on. I've already bought my seat on the aisle, try to sit like within the first 5 rows. I wait for everybody to get on and get seated, and then I'm the last person to get on so that I can just get on, sit down, and then we go. So I'm walking to my seat, and I see I'm in 7C, and I'm looking, and I'm just praying, you know, no babies, no enormous large people, and I see 7B, and it's just this big dude, and I'm like, oh God, he's sitting in the middle. I sit down next to him. He's just got his arms just right on my armrest. I guess I'm not going to be using the armrest. And somebody smelled atrocious. I don't know if it was him, someone in front or back, but it was just like a terrible BO smell. There was 2 seats open, a couple seats ahead of me, and I'm about to go take those seats because I'm the last person on the plane. And then I look, and it's a mom with a freaking baby next to her. So I'm like, what do I do? Do I take the enormous guy who smells terrible, or do I go sit next to a crying baby? I decided to just stay where I was at and sit next to the smelly guy because after about 20 minutes, the smell went away. I just got used to it, I guess. But either way, it was a nice, safe flight here. I'm at the lodge. I'm ready to gamble. A couple more days here. Some live streams coming up. I'm excited for that. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Please like, comment, subscribe. And until next time, I'll see you.